Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Disney Cruise Line Show, coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined via Skype this week by my good friends, Dreams Unlimited travel agent and real estate agent, Sean Falk.
Hi.
Associate editor on the Diz, Ms. Denny Sunderly.
Hey there.
And just before we get into the show, folks, a brief reminder that this show, along with many of the shows that we produce, along with the vlogs and all the content brought to you by DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com. I am one of the co-owners of Dreams Unlimited Travel, just for full disclosure. And if you like our content, please show us your support. Book your next Disney vacation through Dreams Unlimited Travel. You're going to pay the same price you pay Disney. You're going to get the services of a professional, well-trained, passionate Disney fan and travel agent. It's going to help you navigate all the questions you're going to have in planning your trip. So just head over to DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com. And also want to give a plug for one of our other sponsors, the Magic Candle Company. It was the Castaway Cruise candle that made me fall in love with this company. They are all theme park and cruise line inspired candles and wax melts and oils and hand sanitizers. Incredible product. Disney fans love them. I'm burning 2 of them in the studio right now. Another one's burning in my kitchen as we speak. It's safe. MagicCandleCompany.com is the URL. And if you use code DisneyInfo when you check out, you'll save 15% on your order. So this week, we are going to talk about the differences between the classic Disney Cruise Line ships, the Wonder and the Magic, versus the newer ships, the Dream and the Fantasy. And I'm going to start out by saying that while I love all of them, I'm a fan of the classic ships. Yes, the Dream and the Fantasy are newer. They're bigger. They've got a lot more stuff going on them. They hold more people. But at the same time, there's an elegance and a refinement to those classic ships that the new ships just don't match for me. Does anybody else feel that way?
I like the classic ships better than the newer ships. There's absolutely nothing wrong with either set of them. I just feel like the classic ships were made and designed in such a way that everything's with purpose and everything is there. There's no on the newer ships. Sometimes I feel like I'm walking down stretches of hallway and there's really nothing there. Like there's one in particular, like when we were on the Dream in February, a lot of times we would have to move from Animator's Palette and walk down this long hallway, and you pass Royal Table.
Royal
Palace.
Royal Palace. I couldn't remember which one it was for that ship. You pass Royal Palace and going into the main atrium, and there are like a couple of paintings on the wall, like drawings on the wall of like the princesses in like a, avant-garde style or what, it's a very unique style that they use for that. But it does feel like this very long hallway of just nothing. And I'm like, oh my God, I just feel like I'm nowhere. So really on the newer ships, the only thing I prefer is the shopping. I love the shops and the stores that they added and the way they laid those out.
Now, for me, the Magic and the Wonder were built at the Fincantieri shipyards in Italy. These are Italian-designed, Italian-built ships. And it felt to me like a lot more artistry went into those ships than we saw with the Dream and the Fantasy. And I can never... the Meyer Werft shipyard in Germany is the shipyard building that built the Dream and the Fantasy. They're also building the Wish and the newer ships that Disney is currently working on. And again, beautiful, right? Gorgeous ships. But like the number of times on the Fantasy or the Dream, you're walking down a hallway and to get where you want to go, you got to go up a flight of stairs and down a flight of stairs or around, because the hallway just stops. I'm like, why didn't you just build it so it went straight through? Doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of things like that, design-wise, in the fantasy and dream that just don't appeal to me. Denny, classic or new?
While I love certain things about the new, really my heart is with the classic. That's what I've been on the most. That's, I think you have a little place in your heart for the Disney Cruise Line ship that you first sailed on. And I just remember stepping into the Magic's lobby atrium and just being overwhelmed. Unfortunately, it's been taken out, but the Dale Chihuly chandelier that used to hang in the lobby, that was just stunning pieces and touches, Art Deco touches, like you talked about, Pete. Just the styling of your surroundings is just so elegant. I love the smaller theater. The Walt Disney Theater on the smaller ships, on the classic ships, is just smaller. It's not this big, massive thing that's on both decks 3 and 4. We have a balcony going. No. It's simpler. It's more of an intimate experience. It's still big. Don't get me wrong, but it's smaller than what's on the new ships now. So I do appreciate that about it. So yeah, I can find perks in both of them, but really my heart is with the Magic. So,
well, I'd be like I said, I love all of them, and they all have things that are really endearing about them. All 4 ships. For me, it's the wonder. If I've got to narrow it down to one, the food, the service. That I think it's Art Nouveau on the Wonder and Art Deco on the Magic. That 1930s, 1940s vibe of the little design touches, because that's how they were designed. Michael Eisner was president of Disney or CEO of Disney when those were built, and he wanted to evoke the era of the 30s and the 40s, the transatlantic liners, and they really captured it. And it just is this. It was lightning in a bottle with those 2 ships for me. I don't get me wrong. I love the dream and the fantasy. It's not like I can't stand those ships. It's just I'm more at home, and I'm surprised that all of us are in the same boat with this, because I would have thought, I was actually expecting that,
like you, any one of the ships, I don't care. Just let's go. It's because it's gonna be an amazing vacation. I think the top deck, the way that it's designed on the newer ships, is great, but I think there's just something that the layout of the classic ships is more instinctual. It makes sense where everything is, as opposed to, if you want to get to trivia in between your, the theater and dinner, it's back in the pub. You have got to book it. You got to zoom back there to make it there by 7:30 for trivia. And some of those trivia nights are slammed. 80s music trivia, it's standing room only. It's always going to be that anyhow, but like you're up against a wall in a corner. So you don't want to get there at the last minute. So yes, it really is the classic ships.
Yeah.
So
another big factor of me liking the classic ships as well is the locations they actually go to. The dream and the fantasy do tend to be the Caribbean and the Bahamas 90% of the time. I think 100% of the time, actually, but I may just be forgetting one route. But they, whereas the Magic and the Wonder, they go to Europe, they go to Alaska, they go to Bermuda, Canada, and there are some, even with like the San Juan sailings, or they go out of Miami and all that. So you still can do Southern Caribbean, and there's such a variety of things, the Panama Canal and transatlantic, and it is a trend right now where there are so many ships on all cruise lines that are getting so large to the point that, and it's great to add all those things in, but they're getting so big they can't go through the Panama Canal. So they can't, it's very limiting. And it is surprising to me that Disney has decided to bring on 2 new ships. And once again, they're going to be 2 ships that cannot go and do these Western Mexico and Alaska routes because of the size of the ships. And they're really limiting themselves in that way. and it does make it more difficult to fill the ships too. So I thought they would have probably come out with something a little smaller, and I think it just makes sense to make ships that are of a size where it can reach the most places in the world, just in case, because it still puts that weight on the Wonder and the Magic to have to carry the specialty destinations, for the most part, unless they're coming up with something I don't know about. But it is nice. It's hard for me to justify to my friends and family to pay the extra money to do a Disney cruise to the Bahamas when we're going to pay $3,000 or $4,000 for a 3 or 4 night for the family, whereas we could pay $1,500 to do it on a different cruise line to go to the Bahamas for the same 4 nights, same destinations. But it has been easier for me to pull off getting people to go on the Magic with me to Canada, or doing the Wonder to Alaska, and all that, because the destinations are a little bit unique and a little bit different. You can do those with other cruise lines, but you're going to get the more serious cruisers that will go with you and be like, yes, I want to do Bermuda, or I want to do the British Isles, or the Norwegian fjords or something. And that's very Disney-esque, and it's cool that you can do those ships. So that's part of it too.
Does anybody else feel, obviously the Dream and the Fantasy being larger, they hold more people than the Magic and the Wonder. And I think they hold more people, they're larger, and the Dream and the Magic and the Wonder smaller, hold fewer people. So it's all kind of relative. But the Dream and the Fantasy always feel so crowded to me. I feel like I notice the crowd on the ship more on those ships than I do on the Magic and the Wonder. Anybody else feel that way, or is it just me being psycho?
I feel that way, but I also think a lot of it harkens back to what I was saying about the itineraries and the routes. The Magic and the Wonder, for the most part, tend to not be the Bahamas and the Caribbean, with the exception of like the Magic doing a few sailings. There is a stretch of time throughout the year, but a lot of times those are like when kids are in school and everything like that. So most people aren't going to pull their kids out of school to go do a Bermuda cruise at the end of September through early October. And a lot of times those tend to be popular times for the classic ships, is like those stranger itineraries that they get to do. So to me, I would say that's probably the best estimate of why they're feel a little more crowded. Even with like the Wonder in the summertime with Alaska, you're off the ship a lot in Alaska. A lot of people want to be in their rooms because it is colder as it's moving. So I think where the Dream and Fantasy goes, it's warm places. People want to be on the decks, and they tend to be not less expensive as a whole, but they are a little bit less expensive in the fact they're going to the Caribbean and Bahamas for just 3 and 4 nights a lot of the time, like with the Dream, at least. So everybody's out on deck, and they got to be tanning, and they got to be in the pools and the hot tubs and all that stuff.
For the most part, I kind of feel like that, like you were saying, Pete, that it's relative. I haven't felt an overwhelming press of people on the newer ones. It kind of feels to me like maybe it disperses evenly. I think on any of the ships, if it's midday on a sea day, the family pools are going to be crazy town. So you just know that if you want to get a lounge chair, you need to be there really early to do so, and pack your patience big time. But for the most part, it kind of feels like it disperses evenly.
Like I said, I love them all. I would, like I said, there's not a single Disney ship that I look at and go, oh, I would never go on that. My heart's on the Wonder. My heart's on the Wonder. So there you have it, folks. A little discussion about our thoughts between the classic and the new Disney ships. And can't wait till we can have a discussion about the Wish and the new series of ships that are hopefully coming out in the next couple of years. But that is going to do it for this week's episode of our show. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back with you again next week with another edition of the Disney Cruise Line Show. Have a great week, folks.